the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
For James Kwabena Bonfe, I did do na de freno ene Kabila. Ena eneche se wakwa kopi mu e Kwame Sefa kai eshu so. Na in fact ene oni abusuafo ne abadwafo etena ase no. Enye ensem keto akwa na chese Nsem-Pii yi ehebobɔ so. Na ensem mo kanu de eye very interesting. Na sounds so eye simple. Ensem mo kanu nyina efa Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo a chese John Dramani Mahama etimi eyino edie ewa bra enni entiase so kra no. In fact ene opanyini nsem waka nyina ene se John Dramani Mahama aye asombrache. Waye adie bia eyandamine ye constitution. Waye adie bia emma ye democracy no entumpon. Ewo oman Ghana mu a ene sen se obetimi agina ko abdu bia binom de abo Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo so se one ne ba etu kwan. Ewe enye ko abdu papa a wo se gina so etimi di yi a whole Chief Justice edi. In fact na odi yi na di. Ene James Kwabena Bonfe kan nsem bi se amanfo ne na mabonten obviously NDC amanyekuru for no ene na mabonten kan say John Dramani Mahama enye from so in sacking Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. Ene James Kwabena Bonfe Kabila emye hu say John Dramani Mahama mfon so awaye no ebi ma o man Ghana mu ha da say obeyi Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo edi o say entiase ben ena ewomu na wosan kasa no ana did the reason why a former Chief Justice of Yakufo ne bofu John Dramani Mahama ye pa after say Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo edi you know. In fact ene James Kwabena Bonfe ene Kwame Sefa kai crew etena ase ene no ensem omo ka no enye nsem ketewa because John Dramani Mahama de we ya waye no omam ye hu say ade bia emma ya mamra no ye constitution no enyina yie emma ye democracy no so entumpon because John Dramani Mahama it is under your watch and watimi ye Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo edi we ye de no kan records ho ye nim dada so kita bad records na o sandi we so ababeka ho. In fact yentie ensem a James Kwabena Bonfe enu tu dwa e wa bro kopie mu Kwame Sefa kai e show so ene
de mede ma ho de be gina ho pa na me try say me bon to fa ade amampani aya amanfo se ye ma ye nkase mampani na aye na ye mampani na aye why na aye. The removal of the Chief Justice was done under the warrant signed by who? Cardinal, Fourth Republic, all the presidents, without exception. President Rawlings, former President Kufuor, former President Mills, former President John Mahama, former President Akufo-Addo, have all been tempted with Article 146 in regard of Chief Justice. As for say Article 146, President Mahama now they are between 2015 and 2016. Many can say there's a recommendation of one High Court judge by name Daniela Samoa Yacho Akobisa Judicial Secretary. So on my kakra. Say he did not. Why you know? President Mahama is unbiased. No, we are showing bias. Between 2015 and 2016, a recommendation was made for the removal of a certain High Court judge. And now they have to say, "Sa Orano, ye per se a man so didn't call appeals court." Notwithstanding the fact, say, ye can say, if a duly constituted tribunal, what were his charges? Yes, we are also candidate 2012 elections. Abraham High Court judge is yes, against the rules. Ye can say, we banish you be a free mantem be a bull mantem. Any so yes, sir. Tribunal no kohwe mu no okoyi na no na de ntia ade we hu hia pa ne say before sa tribunal no be ye no Cardinal prima facie was established. Ye ka prima facie a asemo ewo nyina so a esese wu koyi ano a wanu ye bia wodi ka de bae no was asemu ntifa ko agina tuku ani eno enkotwere ho. Chief Justice the year president see what they were in a D. I didn't say me and Cass president na in a D. And so president sooner or sign a D. Cardinal Article 146 may be say a constitutional lacuna and as a lack of clarity yɛmmra no mpani se ɛnyɛ de yɛatwerɛ constitution a ekuta mi enkoa anase eno ne frɛ no mmra no na mmom the Supreme Court aka say ɛyɛ mmra enti o kan free article 2 of the 1992 constitution ɛyɛ clause 1992 constitution no cardinal article 2 clause 2 no say a person who alleges that an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment or any other act or omission of any person is inconsistent with or is in contravention of a provision of this constitution may bring an action in the Supreme Court for a declaration to that effect. 2 no say the Supreme Court shall, for the purposes of declaration under Article 1 of this constitution of this article, make such orders and give such directions as it may consider appropriate for giving effect or enabling effect to be given to the declaration so made. Enti wena owura bia ye frɛ no ajetum 2005 efa chief justice ya ho ye na ba twam justice abandie Ghana Bar Association for there di PMO other attempts are binum ye against justice akwa num ne ade ena 2005 justice akwa ajetum die president Kufuor apenso papa mechiawa no pay papa no de court no and the Supreme Court be kire mu say cardinal tio that ba professor nyamina meka or say when one compares article 1463 with article 146 it becomes evident that there is a gap in the logical sequence of action under article 1466 that okanya or say according to the literal language of Article 146, no one is required to examine a petition brought against the Chief Justice to ascertain whether it establishes a prima facie case before the President refers it to a committee established by him. Once any petition, no matter how frivolous its contents are, is presented to the President, then he has a duty to establish a committee to consider it. A literal reading of the provision, therefore, could lead to the floodgates being open for frivolous and vexatious petitions being continuously filed against a serving Chief Justice, with 2 Supreme Court judges being perpetually tied down to hearing such petitions alongside the members of the committee that the President has to appoint. This is a scenario that would weaken the efficacy of the top echelon of the judiciary, and this is what President Mahama did. Dr. Depa.
So what was his remedy?
Was being prophetic.
What was his remedy for that lacuna?
And to say, there is even more mischief in a literal interpretation. This is because Article 14610A authorizes the President, albeit on the advice of the Council of State, to suspend the Chief Justice whilst a petition for its removal, in this case her removal, is being considered by a committee appointed by him under Article 1466. There is thus scope for the executive or others to initiate frivolous and vexatious petitions against the Chief Justice, resulting, according to the literal reading, to an automatic establishment of a committee to consider the petitions and the empowerment of the President to suspend the Chief Justice from his or her functions. This is a scenario that is deeply subversive of the balance of power underlying the 1992 Constitution and the separation of powers that it entrenches. It is, of course, also inimical to the independence of the judiciary, as the plaintiff points out in his statement of case. Oma issues are, and Obeka say, yeah, kai a constitution now. Yeah, just say, yeah, fact, literal meaning no kwa. Enti, Okambe we say. Article 1466 no yen no say say ye establish prima facie ti ewo Chief Justice there no ti say there 3 and 4 ye establish prima facie on any other justice of the Supreme Court. Samray ye mungu ye nane no. There are 5 cases at the Supreme Court currently, including one led by Census. I'm here, interested party.
Census,
Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems.
Okay.
Challenging the constitutionality of the process. You can't say committee now no permission why no. Omun try so my India because anytime ko set up committee no kra no. Supreme Court ya nyadwene. Omo say remedy anu ye na ye pe no. Committee no ebetimi aso ano. Ye di akire. The committee refused to address the issues that we raised because committee na ankasa no ya manu mrabia na guide no ono na chusu CI 47 e the guide no again the Supreme Court in many judgments aka say article 146 committee no say ya manu nhihye ya odibeye na twuma cardinal enye ho adanse ani kwadu a yesi ye de abo maame no yesi niku ene ne ba ene ne tu kwan na judicial service ema niku ene ne ba no sika ye de ho sobo ebo no emra ejina so de meti ai minim one ma ebusa se mra be na sa process yi we call it a phony trial as a yesu ye pena kuno na Adansefo krama against Roman and Jewish law. I can say ye dia same cry we are judgment baba not less than 48 hours. But the trial of Jesus Christ took execution, it took less than 18 hours. One day krama. The no. And then you friend kangaroo trial, kangaroo court.
Why will you make that conclusion?
I made that conclusion because of the conclusion the president has come to. Notwithstanding challenges of the ill-informed process he was on.
When the 146 I can't say the recommendation about president ma onye ho hwe no.
You see, eno na ye ka say bibi hyase and say na kodru ba bia ye wo no. Enti enam sa sin tonunti ene ye ka say enam sa committee owie na dwuma e cheche wo president wo santi say ahyase no ufum twa obefun ku anaso ufum bia obefum atwa enti mfomso na dikan abade a yenso ano ne yensiesi kra asa na yato aso yesi hey yentiase ye manu nkoso ana yakoso ne yakowie se sesi ayi no asamu a eda court a enum and I can tell you ana anu me ma me lawyers e ma ye search wo court Supreme Court registry cardinal nukwa wo mi say attorney general onya na dwene kwa say obe file responses to statements ya file onya na dwene so obe me adi asem no obetma file excuse say there's a legal vacation so time is not counting but asem he shall say June legal vacation shall say August June July 21 days na elapse enti bibia kire say ya dwene me trust you hana me kan say ade no the way asi aye no na wo hwese maame na nu yode koma president achi president say we push a committee na committee no asankopa a wo kokko investigate kwa no ana prima facie president establish here no on come yente enti okoso na omaye de oye no na it only concludes say ye see adwini pi ye wie de ye pese ye na mom ye pese ye ma na ye te se de ye de mra na ye sa pepe ma wonim de ntia former chief justice Sofia Akufo ni buafu no
David
ana de ayekoso ni bonyo so so ono why ye what the 146 no in 2017-2018 what now committee so a or establish a prima facie.
Okay.
In the case of Mame Charlotte say
Okay.
George Nopokwa Mankwa any Alhaji Amadou
Sule
na me fa ne kransi na ahobrasim cardinal womo mudi Charlotte say din aye twapia e de ye mfanto we no let me tell them Charlotte say started the process for her removal, prosecuted the process for her removal, and so she thought say no betimi ayi ni deputies no na ka ono nko she fell on her own dagger and I prove to you here
do
this is the file that I concluded on Amadou Sule nipa no odi animu no ye Emmanuel Kosi Senyo against Amadu Sule we madam say for omko ditia Amadu Sule
there be next time
PW1
train abotre next time oba me court has in as a exhibit here tender
mpacho me tender PW2 mpacho jima judge mami na on kanu modino
mama hwe say a certified true copy
mpacho
till next time oba o the exhibit bi abana say
mpacho bodino mami
PW2 Mrs. Charlotte Ama say
PW a petitioner's witness
Mrs. Charlotte Ama say she is the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and she testified that in the last quarter of 2015, she received a request from the NDC party for the Electoral Commission to conduct its presidential and parliamentary primaries. She did minute the request to the respondent, the deputy chairperson in charge of operations.
That's Amadu Sule.
According to the witness, the NDC primaries were conducted on 21st November 2015. 2 days after the event, she reports that some of the staff of the Electoral Commission in the district were not paid monies due them from the primaries. She made enquiries from the Director of Finance, who informed her that he was not involved in the process in any way. The Director of Finance further informed her that his department did not receive the monies paid by the NDC and therefore would not be able to tell how much NDC paid to the Electoral Commission. The Director of Finance further informed her that he had monies were paid to the respondent in his office late at night, and that electoral materials belonging to the Electoral Commission were taken from the stores unit of the Electoral Commission for the primaries, but the Electoral Commission had not been reimbursed. The witness said she decided to take up the matter with the respondent and the Director of Elections. The response she received from the respondent is in evidence as part of the exhibit attached to her witness statement and marked as C2. Exhibit C2 has a brief email from the respondent giving an account on the primaries and the budget drawn for the conduct of the NDC's primaries.
PW1 the page before
PW1 okay PW1
yeah koso wo nyan kasa in feature ewo Savannah region e de no ahase na masre se ne koso ewo eye mia medium gonja ene brefo ene ada ethnic groups ewo hon mo no yɛmfa adwobrɛ na stress yɛmfa adwobrɛ na yɛnka na ɛyɛ nipa baako a yɛatena for centuries mfie pii ɛwɔ ahensɛm bi wom ɛwɔ nsasesɛm bi wom ɛwɔ amanyɔsɛm bi wom na mɛto ama aban mpanimfoɔ mampanin ne n'asoafo a opani bi a misua bakosem ne nema kakra wo gonja ehwe free wo munchen pani baako ne titiriw kra ne se woni mampani ayi adwuma pen Dr. Henry Sedu Dana or your for anthropological history, particularly linking to chieftaincy any land issues. Ye pe ni nim die na dwenkyerɛ ne nyansa ɛbɛboa man Ghana. Ye pe ne nyansa ne nimdeɛ ne suahunu ɛwɔ sansɛm mu a ɛbɛboa Ghana. Na kakra ɔno ne ebi mo no anim kyɛn yɛn binum aka. Ɛne sɛ ensam no ɛyɛ ana ebi hyehyɛmu bi yɛ latent na ebi bibi akos packing. Menim say national security force obo mo ho modern, particularly the intelligence subsector no. Afani ni na enwa kodim nye nipakuo ba kupe bi nko na womo sebi atu even though say kese no ko one side because EPM a yaka say yabonwura ama command bi no na ni braba na womo enim na abakosemu no be mu say Gonja is a federation like Asante was a federation. In fact, or commanded the biggest landmass in Ghana. Peace FM. Na Kabanye anase Gonja na Ewosano or allies. Anase Nyanumwa woni womo Ediagro. And intina mimi I don't like playing the ethnic card because me tie mi moja pa no mini baby free. And so nyame adom ene na daroma ene me ka se mi free Blue East kandige anabole bambo ani kwambinko a obi anyi ni me fa bia be free Kumase me fa bia ko free Akropon me fa bia ko free Keta me fa bia ko free Ahanta me fa bi efri nkran ha me fa bi akopie wa me fa bi akopie wo Binduri ene Boku me fa bi akopie Konongo eyadan ya mentimi mmoni nyina akra mani wie ofa bi akopie baabi asese nyina ya dwen se yakasa Republic of Ghana ye Ghana maima nti sa ansa sesam ene ahimie hu ntokwa na ya na adoso no kadina de meka nyina ne se ye tietie ye ho a how bibiri ni akire nti no de mi di besi wo ho no